This is my last monthly wrap up 2023. Isn't that crazy? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Maura. If you didn't know, now you do. Enjoy that information. But today I'm going to be doing my last wrap up of 2023 before my 2023 like big wrap up of my favorite books. Today I'm going to be talking about the 10 books that I've read in December so far. It's the 29th when I'm filming this and it's going up on the 31st. Guarantee I'm going to finish at least another book or two, but I wanted to film this and have this out of the way ready to go. So any other books that I read this month are going to be in my January wrap up first thing, but I'll stick with the 10 that I have right now. I actually just finished one like an hour ago. I don't have time to waste because I have 10 books that I need to talk about, and I'm just gonna hit you with like the main important points. But first of all, I need to put this blanket on because I'm actually freezing. Oh, also, let me say this too. I'm currently in Maryland and I only have 2 of the physical books with me, the ones that I've read, because I didn't bring them all just to film a wrap up. Doesn't really matter. I'll put pictures on the screen and all of that of the covers so you know what they look like. I only have 2 of them with me currently. This is actually so comfy. The first book that I read this month was Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. Lauren Asher's books have been hit or miss for me for some time, but I really loved this book. It follows Julian and Dahlia, who are our childhood frenemies that both work in housing. So Dahlia is an interior designer and Julian works with her on some of these houses, and it just gives forced proximity vibes. I gave this book 4 stars. Really good. I was actually really torn on if I wanted to give it 5 stars, but it just like didn't give me the 5-star feeling that I was looking for. The banter though, the tension, the romance, all the tropes, everything was just so good about it. Usually I'm not a fan of small town romance, but the way it was done in here was just executed so well, so I obviously really enjoyed it. I also loved the emotions and just how everything was handled. It felt like the first book that I'd read in a long time where the adults actually acted like adults. I really loved this one. I actually haven't heard anybody say anything bad about it. Everybody that I've seen talk about it is always like, oh my god, it was so good. Are you guys enjoying my narwhal? This is like so embarrassing. Then I read If We Were Villains by ML Rio and I gave this 2 stars. This is a dark academia book and it follows a group of friends who all participate in theater. One of their friends ends up dying at a lake and the friends are basically trying to figure out if they're at fault for his death. They are trying to have the same story as each other so that when they're interrogated about his death, they don't throw themselves under the bus. Follows the main character Oliver in present day, which is in jail, and then there's flashbacks, which is where most of the story is told through. I will say I'm not a fan of flashbacks in stories because I just don't like finding out the main thing at the very end, because what if it was like a really stupid answer that I just like read the whole book for something dumb to be revealed. I wouldn't say that the ending wasn't interesting. I think it really was interesting, but my attention was not maintained throughout the entire book and I found it really difficult to want to keep reading. But maybe I'm just not a dark academia kind of girl. It was a new genre, hadn't read that kind of thing before, so maybe that's just not my thing. Then I read Heartless by Elsie Silver and I DNF'd this book. I have just decided that Elsie Silver books are just not for me, and as much as I try to like the Chestnut Spring series, I also just don't enjoy it. That's totally fine. What wouldn't be okay is me forcing myself to read those books when I know I probably wouldn't like them and then giving them crappy reviews and bad ratings when it's just because I forced myself. So I won't go into much else detail because I don't really know why I dislike the series. I don't know. I just couldn't be bothered to keep going, so I stopped. Then I read You Will Be Mine by Natasha Preston. I gave this 2 stars. This is a murder mystery thriller, which, as you guys may or may not know, is not usually my favorite genre whatsoever. It follows a group of friends who keep receiving these letters that are basically kind of like watch your back type letters. Every friend that receives them dies shortly after. So I found this book really interesting throughout. I think 2 stars is kind of harsh, but the ending was just so bizarre and strange that I feel like it just destroyed the story. I think the ending could have been saved if we were spared the language that took place and just the weird relationship between the characters, but other than that, I really liked it. I just can't look past the ending, and I feel like it knocked it down so much because of that, because if you read this book, you know the ending. Like, it's strange. I feel like just the way it was executed could have been way better and saved the story, but unfortunately it didn't. This book, I actually don't even know what I rated. I think I gave this 3 stars, but it's When in Rome by Sarah Adams. I read this for the video I did where my mom picks the books I read, and I've been wanting to read this for a while. I loved Practice Makes Perfect, and so I decided to read When in Rome because I didn't realize that they went together. I preferred Practice Makes Perfect. I'll link the video in one of the cards so that you guys can watch it if you're interested, but actually no, you should watch it. You don't get a say. This is my channel and I tell you what to do. So I really liked it. I just don't love small town romances, as I've already addressed, and I felt like in this situation so many of the characters were like trying to force their opinions down everybody's throat, and I don't like that. okay? I grew up in a town like that. So I got out. Ironic because I'm back here right now. But I gave this one 3 stars. I love Sarah Adams. I just didn't love this book. That's fine. You win some, you lose some. We're going through this really quick. I'm honestly loving it. I read Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score and I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. This is my first Lucy Score book and I really enjoyed it. This follows Naomi, who is escaping her ex-fiance and comes to a town where her twin sister basically destroys everything that she comes into contact with. And as soon as she gets there, she finds out that she has a niece that she had no idea existed because her sister is kind of crazy. And she takes in her new niece and learns that Knox, the main male character, basically runs the town and his family is just like super involved in everything. So they butt heads a lot at first. Eventually they cave and they try to start balancing their feelings for each other with other issues going on in their lives. And I thoroughly enjoyed this book. It didn't really stand out to me as a book where I was like, this changed my life. I was looking forward to reading it any chance I had. I will say the ending was interesting. It felt like it was kind of forced and that we just needed to have like an interesting ending so that it could have some sort of like mic drop page turner type thing. It just seemed messy and unorganized in my opinion, but everything else I really enjoyed about it. This book I actually have with me and that is Twisted Lies. This was the last book that my mom picked out for that video and I actually read this on accident because I was supposed to read Twisted Games and I accidentally grabbed this one, but I gave this 5 stars and I was not expecting that whatsoever because I did not like the first book in this series. I loved this one. This follows Christian and Stella. Stella is a blogger and she basically fake dates Christian, who's like this billionaire, because she thinks that it's gonna help her grow her blog if she's in a relationship, and it does, but she ends up having the stalker and Christian's like very protective over her. I don't know why I loved this as much as I did, but I was obsessed and I did not want this to be done. And this was one of the situations where it didn't really have a checklist where I was like, this is 5 stars, like it's hitting all the right points. I just loved reading it. Like I just had fun. This is an exception to my normal 5-star checklist. This literally just was fun and I enjoyed reading it. So that's why this one was a 5 star. Then, I actually don't know the order. One of these books, I don't know where it came from. I read the next book in the Windy City series, Caught Up by Liz Tomford. This one had just come out in October. I was really excited for it because I loved Mile High and The Right Move, but I wasn't a big fan of this one whatsoever. I've learned also that I'm not really a fan of single dad romances and I thought I would be, and I just don't care about it as much as I thought I would. But it's about a pitcher who's a single dad. He's a pitcher for Chicago, duh, because it all takes place in Chicago. He ends up hiring his manager's daughter to be his nanny, so it's forced proximity. It was like tropes, like I enjoyed some of the tropes. I just didn't really love the characters. Like I didn't love Miller as much as everybody kind of hyped her up to be this amazing character. Just didn't really care, but that's totally fine. So I know I didn't really like her. I don't know. I don't know why I didn't like her. This is what's frustrating. I don't know why I didn't like it, but I gave it 3 stars. Didn't love it, but it wasn't bad. Then I read Thrive. I love the Addicted series. This follows Lily and Lauren. This is like the 7th book if you count the Addicted series and the Calloway Sisters series. Literally obsessed. Like I read this and then on my Kindle I read Addicted After All. So I'm not gonna really go into full depth about what each of these books are because I don't want to spoil them for anybody, but I rated this one a 4 and I think I rated Addicted After All 4.5. I just love the characters. I love the way it's written. I just think it's so interesting to see how they're expanding over everything, and also the fact where all of the characters are so different that when they're talking, if it doesn't say like Reich said this or Connor said this, like you know what character is talking just by the body language, their tone, their vocabulary, the things they say, the way they act. So it's so easy to follow such a big group of characters, and I love the found family vibe. I just love Lauren so much. Like if he was real, I don't know what I would do with myself. Like I'm just obsessed with him. I'm currently on the 8th book, which is Fuel the Fire. I'm not a huge Rose and Connor stan. A lot of people have said that at first and then they wound up loving them. Can't say the same for me. I didn't love Kiss the Sky for some reason. I enjoy the characters. I love everyone else. It's not that I dislike them, they're just not my favorite. But that's what I'm currently reading is Fuel the Fire, and I'm definitely gonna finish that before the new year ends. Let's be real, it's probably gonna be either between a 3 and like a 4.5. Let's be so honest, unless they knock my socks off. Those are all the books that I read in December. Like I said, I'm still going, but I wanted to get this video done and filmed and edited and ready to go, so I didn't have to worry about it on New Year's Eve when this video goes up. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you aren't. Enjoy the reading for the next like 12 hours that we have in the year when this video goes up, and I will see you guys in 2024. Isn't that crazy? See you guys then. Peace and love.